What was your relationship like with your parents then and now?
So I'm the guy who everyone's always okay with. My family has even now, a lot of people who don't talk one to the other.
Mm.
Everybody talks to me. I talk to everybody. I don't play any of those like,
You're Switzerland.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, not saying that anyone in my family is necessarily Iran or Russia, but everyone's good. Everyone is, has their own.
Everyone's different. I would say everyone's
Yeah.
different. That's for sure.
Mhm. But we've all had, we've had our rough patches. I'm saying like every person has tried to push me or other family members away at certain times. And I'm just not like, okay, so you're pissed at me now, you're mad, okay, fine, I'll see you next week. Like, okay.
Mm.
All right, did something to piss you off? I'm sorry about that. Yeah, okay, so I'll see you next week.
Go ahead.
Do you think it's because you were the youngest and everybody tried to protect you in some way from all this turmoil?
Of that. It was part of that. I think was also partly that, for the on the positive side, you could say that. On the other side, nobody saw me like necessarily as a threat. I was never, trying, because I was the youngest and I grew up with my special needs brother. My sisters were 3 years apart. My brother and I were a year and a half apart. He's older, and he's older. So I was the boy that came along after who didn't need all the help and everything like that. So
that's true.
As my mother would put it, she didn't even know I was born type thing. Like she was always so focused on my brother. And I never felt neglected. It was never like I never felt it. But in first grade, they would teach while all the other kids were learning how to read, I was learning how to tie my shoes. Because reading I could do because I had to figure out not that I figured out my own, my parents helped, but I knew how to read and do other things. But when we had to get out of the house, my mother just tied my shoes. We didn't have time to wait for me to, figure it out and ask for help. So it was never that kind of competition with anybody. And when it came to, between my parents, and there definitely was and is even to this day about choosing sides. They're, both passed away, but they're still choosing sides. I just didn't. And they respected that. It was never. They both tried to be the bigger one, and they both were and weren't. It's really hard to explain. But like any couple, they've switched from the good one to the bad one back and forth a couple times, having being the more mature one, being the less mature one. But they were my parents, and I knew that they loved me. And here's an interesting thing. I think it was really when I could see them as people and not just parents. I think that every person goes through that at some point in their life. So seeing them as people and not just parents, it helped me accept and understand. Okay, he's having a bad day. There must be something going on. One thing they both did that I appreciate. They never tried overtly to turn me against the other. Okay, that's not exactly true. They just no. I'm trying to think like a few times, but it was never a sustained thing. They never encouraged me to cut off contact with the other, even though I knew and felt that they hated each other.
Sure.
But they never badmouthed. They pretty much never badmouthed each other in front, and it was never about. And I never knew anything that was going on with the divorce. When my father would come and get me twice a week, I didn't know that was something that was court appointed. Okay, so Papa's coming. Papa's going to call my father. He's coming to get me. Great. Kids go out with their fathers all the time. What's the difference?